What if we could stop glaciers from melting? Imagine the impact on our planet if we could halt or even reverse the melting of these massive ice sheets. Well, today, we're diving into the controversial plans, right or wrong, that some believe will save our planet's ice. Welcome to Not So Techie. If you're new here, this is your go-to channel for breaking down complex tech topics in a way that everyone can understand. I'm your host, and today, we're tackling a subject that's not just fascinating but some would say is also incredibly important: glacial geoengineering. Why should tech enthusiasts like you care about this topic? Well, it's the intersection of technology and environmental science is where some of the most groundbreaking innovations are happening. And who knows? The next big solution might come from someone just like you. Well, let's deep dive into glacial geoengineering. First, let's understand why glaciers are melting. Greenland's Jakobshavn Glacier, also known as Surmek in Greenlandic, is one of the most famous and studied glaciers in the world. It is approximately 40 kilometers long, around 24.85 miles, and drains around 6.5% of the Greenland ice sheet. This massive body of ice is renowned for producing more iceberg calvings than any other glacier, contributing significantly to the increasing global sea levels. So we're all on the same page here. An iceberg calving is a natural process that occurs when chunks of ice break off from the edges of glaciers and form icebergs. This event happens when a glacier advances into a body of water, such as an ocean or lake, and the resulting pressure causes parts of the glacier to fracture and separate. The formation of massive ice bodies like the Greenland's Jakobshavn Glacier takes thousands to millions of years. This formation process, known in scientific terms as glaciation, starts with snow accumulating and compacting over time, slowly turning into dense ice. Because various external factors such as temperature, snowfall rate, and topography can influence this process, it's hard to pinpoint an exact time frame. However, glacier ice in Greenland today is as much as 110,000 years old, providing a general idea of the timeline we're talking about. So you might be wondering, why would someone believe stopping a glacier's natural formation of creation and loss is a good thing? Well, since the awareness about climate change has increased significantly over the years, there has been discussion from some that believe we are pushing ourselves to the brink of extinction if we don't change or stop global warming. Today we won't focus on the climate debate, but we will examine what people are trying to do to stop what is contributing significantly to sea level rise, the melting of large blocks of ice. As global temperatures increase, these glaciers lose their mass at an alarming rate. This isn't just a problem for coastal cities. It's a global issue affecting weather patterns, ecosystems, and even human livelihoods. The wild plans to slow down glacier melting. So what are scientists proposing to tackle this melting ice? One of the most talked about ideas involves drilling holes to the bases of glaciers and pumping out water or heat. This would slow down the slipping ice sheets. Another ambitious plan discussed at a UC workshop in October 2023 suggested building 80 kilometers of curtains around Antarctic glaciers at an estimated cost of $88 billion. Yes, you heard that right, 88 with a B, for $1 billion. These projects would require fleets of icebreakers, extensive shipping and supply chain needs, and significant personnel to construct, maintain, and guard these structures in harsh ocean conditions. Stopping or reducing the rate of ice melting may seem like the best knee-jerk reaction to keep water levels as close to what most have experienced over the past 100 years. Before we decide on what we should do, let's understand the role glaciers play in our habitat. As we mentioned, the cycle of a glacier involves snow being added to make a large mass, that loses mass through melting or calving, and then there is movement. This is where it flows under its own weight, where glaciers become the mighty ice sculptors of nature's landscape. They carve, shape, and mold landscapes, sculpting valleys, mountains, and crafting numerous natural wonders. Among the breathtaking marvels molded by these slow-moving giants are lakes, some of the most beautiful and iconic, born out of the relentless carving power of glaciers. Some of the most renowned examples and wonders around the world include Great Lakes, North America, the 5 Great Lakes, Superior, Michigan, Huron, Erie, and Ontario. Lake Tahoe, United States. Formed more than 2 million years ago, this deep water lake owes its existence to ice masses that carved its basin and then melted, leaving behind this mesmerizing natural beauty. Fiordlands lakes in New Zealand. Among these, Lake Te Anau and Lake Manapuri stand out as notable glacier-carved wonders. Jakobshavn, Iceland. Formed relatively recently in geologic terms, as the Breiðamerkurgil Glacier started to retreat around the 1930s. Garibaldi Lake, Canada. The lake was formed by lava dams from volcanic eruptions and further shaped by glaciers during the last ice age. And Lake Louise, Canada. Nestled in the heart of Banff National Park, these lakes are just a few examples that highlight the powerful, transformative, yet enchanting force of glaciers. As the planet continues to evolve, and as we face changes in the climate, to some, it underscores the urgency to understand and protect these natural wonders. The costs and logistics of glacial geoengineering. Now let's talk about logistics. These massive engineering efforts would be some of the most expensive ever undertaken by humanity. Beyond financial costs, like that staggering $88 billion estimate, there are logistical challenges involving fleets of icebreakers and extensive supply chains. Not to mention the personnel needed and risk required for construction and maintenance under some of Earth's harshest conditions. But what about unintended consequences? Disrupting ocean circulations or endangering oceanic wildlife are real concerns that scientists must consider. Moreover, it could take decades before we know whether these interventions are effective or not. Twyla Moon from the U.S. National Snow and Ice Data Center argues against even preliminary studies on these concepts because they might disincentivize reducing carbon emissions. Some would consider this to be the worst-case scenario with glacial geoengineering. While scientists and engineers constantly debate the necessity and feasibility of such ambitious projects, it's crucial to understand what could go wrong, especially given the immense scale of these undertakings. The unforeseen consequences of human intervention or direct manipulation largely stems from the action steps from selective activities like drilling holes at the base of glaciers or installing mammoth structures around them. We risk upending delicate ecological balances. For instance, any form of direct intervention with the glaciers could potentially destabilize them, leading to increased melting and, ironically, accelerate sea level rise, rather than slowing it down. Such consequences would be devastating for both ecological and human communities, particularly coastal populations worldwide. Moreover, widespread glacial geoengineering projects could risk disrupting global ocean circulations. These currents are vital to maintaining the planet's climate. Changing these circulations could lead to severe weather anomalies and unpredictability, which could threaten numerous species and even alter global weather patterns, leading to unforeseeable impacts on agriculture and livelihoods worldwide. The worst-case scenario wouldn't just involve human habitations. Interference with glaciers could pose significant risks to local wildlife and biodiversity. The potential disturbances in their habitats could result in drastic shifts in their populations due to changes in food sources and habitats, a ripple effect that could even lead to species extinction. Unsuccessful interventions and long-term consequences. Another major risk lies in the interventions not working, or worse, taking so long to prove successful that they're not helpful in timely climate change mitigation. It could potentially result in immense financial and resource waste. Misdirected focus away from reducing emissions. Lastly, as Twyla Moon of the U.S. National Snow and Ice Data Center points out, one of the most dangerous outcomes of taking on such projects could be a shift in focus away from reducing carbon emissions. Such a scenario could lead to complacency about cutting emissions, what some would call a crucial element in the fight against climate change. The bottom line. To summarize, the worst-case scenarios of glacial geoengineering involve potential ecological disasters, disrupted ocean currents, endangered wildlife, huge financial resources waste, and diverted attention from reducing greenhouse gas emissions. It's a stark reminder of the high stakes involved in taking on such interventions. The discussions and debates surrounding these endeavors are not just theoretical, they are central to the planet's future and our survival. Therefore, treading carefully in such a complex and delicate terrain becomes not just a cautionary tale but an absolute necessity. So, are the risks worth taking? Or should we direct our attention and resources toward proven strategies like reducing carbon emissions? We invite you to share your thoughts and join the conversation. The debate among scientists, to intervene or not. This brings us to one of the most heated debates among scientists today. Should we intervene? David Keith from UC's Climate Systems Engineering Initiative suggests that research into glacial geoengineering should be pursued cautiously but earnestly, much like solar geoengineering research has gained acceptance over time. We will link a previous video on the topic in the description. Now understand that many glaciologists warn it's a slippery slope between research and actual implementation, a line that must be tread carefully given what's at stake for our planet's future. So what do you think about the controversial yet fascinating world of glacial geoengineering laid out for you? We've covered everything from wild intervention plans costing billions to potential unintended consequences that could disrupt entire ecosystems. Should humanity invest in such ambitious projects despite their risks? Or should we focus solely on reducing carbon emissions? Your thoughts matter. Join the discussion by leaving your comments below. We'd love to hear what you think. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into tech meets environment topics like this one, don't forget to subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you never miss another episode packed with insightful content tailored just for tech enthusiasts like yourself. Before we leave, let's share a viewer's opinion. In the fight against climate change, it's easy to feel overwhelmed by the scale of the problem. One viewer pointed out, with glacier changes, it feels like we're fighting a battle of extremes. The planet will survive regardless of what we do. This raises a valid point. As much as we're brainstorming and debating ways to halt or reverse the melting of glaciers through potentially risky and expensive glacial geoengineering, the fact remains that the Earth, as a planet, is likely to outlast us. However, it's important to remember that our concern isn't merely about the Earth's survival. It's about its habitability for humans and other living species in the future. As the idea of human-induced climate change accelerates, we're not just observing the legendary resilience of Mother Nature, we're dealing with potentially catastrophic shifts that could make life increasingly difficult on this planet that some could argue if we overreact or don't act all could be devastating. Glacier melt affects us all. Let's consider the issue with glaciers. As we've discussed, the rapid melting of glaciers like Greenland's Jakobshavn glacier contributes significantly to rising sea levels, threatening coastal cities and causing global weather alterations. This isn't an isolated or extreme issue, it's something that affects us all. That's why solutions, from reducing carbon emissions to possibly intervening with glaciers, are being taken so seriously. Finding balance, of course, there's definitely truth to the sentiment of fighting a battle of extremes. Our planet has been through a lot over its billions of years of history, and it'll likely continue to evolve and adapt. The balance we must find is how to ensure our survival and well-being without pushing our planet into extreme conditions. So, should we be putting all our efforts and resources into proven strategies such as reducing carbon emissions and promoting sustainable practices? Or is it worth it to explore and invest in more radical methods of curbing climate change, like glacial geoengineering, even with their potential risks and unknown consequences? As ever, there is much to consider, and every viewpoint adds to the discussion. So, keep them coming. This sharing of ideas and knowledge is precisely what we're all about here at Not So Techie. Regardless of where you stand on these vital matters, your voice matters to us. Please continue to engage and join the conversation. Until next time, keep exploring, stay curious, and don't forget, spread the knowledge. Stay techie, folks, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.